Welcome to today's EMS Leadership Q&A. I'm Lisa Geruzzi here with Robbie McHugh. We are the co-founders of EMS Leadership Academy.
And for those of you that don't know, we help EMS leaders bring out the best in themselves and others.
And today's question is a really great one. The question is, how can I be less reactive when I get negative feedback? Feels like the $1,000,000 question, right?
It is absolutely the $1,000,000 question, Lisa. And so many people out there, I think, are struggle with this, along with myself, is how to take the feedback constructively, and how do you give feedback so that it lands well?
Yeah. And, first of all, I think we have to be mindful of our state of mind when we're getting feedback. Because if we're in a revved up, insecure state of mind, if we have a lot of thinking going on, worry about things, anxious about things, it's really, really difficult to have any feedback sound constructive. It all sounds negative. You ever notice that when you're anxious, everything feels like it's negative or feels like it's hard? So be mindful of your own state of mind. And then I think that it's helpful to try to slow yourself down. Because if you get feedback and that triggers your mind to go faster, I think it's really helpful to kind of slow yourself down and just get present to it's just words that are coming out of someone's mouth. It's just their opinion about something. It's not, true or false. It's a perspective.
I think that's great. And maybe a tip is that what if we assumed the best in the situation? We assume that the person giving us the feedback really does have our best intention in mind. We don't read into things and add story to people's interpretation of, well, what are they really trying to say to me? I think that's another key, because I think in most of these situations, nobody's trying to mess with your mind in a sense.
Right.
Nobody's trying to, don't add stories like, oh, they're Monday quarterbacking my care that was from the weekend. They weren't there, which is
right.
Completely true. So maybe you'd invite listeners to think about a time when you received feedback and that was helpful. It was constructive and it didn't occur as negative. Why was that? What were the factors involved about the situation that made it helpful for you? Even just the language they used, where did they give the feedback? Was it in person? Was it over a QA flag or feedback? And think about, what was the time frame between when it happened and when you actually got feedback? Something that happened 2 months ago, that it would have been great to know. You've seen this person 10 times since then, and all of a sudden they're bringing up something from months ago. And so.
Yeah, and I think you raise a really good point, which is negative is an interpretation. Imagine if your best friend or closest colleague or somebody who you really respect was giving you the feedback versus whoever is giving you the feedback and you're having that negative reaction. Our mind is constantly interpreting things, and just kind of the way I started this, our state of mind has a lot to do with, actually everything to do with how something occurs. If it occurs as negative or positive, it's all interpretation. And while I'm not a fan of, positive thinking, I think what you're talking about is assuming the best, that the person has your best interest at heart. But if you can also see that your reactivity is not serving you, and it's also not serving the situation. So can you hear the feedback differently? Like you said, perhaps it's a contribution. How will it support your growth and development? If you weren't taking it personally or negatively, would this be a valuable contribution to you?
Yeah, that's so true. And think about too, if you're giving feedback, I know the question is about being less reactive when I get feedback, but if you're giving people feedback, is it only when there's something wrong? You get pulled into the office because it's only going to be something wrong. And maybe shifting to, well, what about giving people feedback when things go really well? Or you hear a story about, they called, we got some feedback of the outcome of this case, and those were great times. And like, not just saying, hey, you did a good job, but why did somebody do a good job? Hey, your times were great. You recognize that was a stroke patient. You recognize this and that. And you really put some detail into why somebody did something great. And I think that would really shift people's occurrence of, oh gosh, what did I do if that door
Right.
closes?
That's right. And I think that a great resource that we have available currently for people is the what we call the mini course. And although I would not let the word mini fool you, it's really powerful and impactful, and it's free currently. So if you go to emsleadershipacademy.com/mini, you can sign up for this online self-paced course. It's only 4 modules, but it's very powerful and will help you to understand more about what we're talking about.
Excellent. I think that was a great answer, folks. Thanks for watching. If you have a question you'd like to submit, please share it with us. You can send us an email, support@emsleadershipacademy.com, or leave us a voicemail, 888-330-8288. And we take your questions every week and hopefully provide some insightful feedback. So thanks for joining us today.